and $350 for transportation to and from the carnival. What is the greatest number of campers who can attend the carnival if the camp must stay within its budgeted amount? All right, let's start with our cubes again. We're going to circle all the numbers. So we've got 2,000, 1,795. We've got 250, 350. Did I miss one? No, 2 doesn't really count. That's included with the general admission for $17.95. So we're not really worried about 2. All right, next we're underlining the question. What's the question? Right. Question is normally the last thing they say. What is the greatest number of campers who could attend the carnival if the camp must stay within its budgeted amount? Now let's box the key words. All right. Cost for each camper. That's pretty much it. I probably would sit here and say budgeted, and then I would put a box around greatest number. All right, that's the key things to me. Now it's time for us to evaluate and solve. So this means we have to set up an inequality. All right, what kind of sign am I looking for? Greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to? All right, we have to stay within our budget. We can get to $2,000, but we also have to stay below the budget. We can't go over. So since we're looking at either less than or equal to $2,000. So we're looking at that as our inequality. Less than or equal to. We can get up to $2,000, but we have to stay below $2,000. So what is it that we're looking at? What is having to be added together to keep us below this budget of $2,000? Well, we got $1,795 for each camper. So if we had 100 campers go, it would be $1,795 times 100, right? If we had 50 campers go, it'd be $1,795 times 50. So there's our variable. $1,795 times, and we'll use C. Now, we also have to pay $250 for chaperones and $350 for transportation. All of that is covered in our costs and is in our budget. Now we need to solve how many campers can go. So we do some simple addition real quick. 250 plus 350. That's right, 600. Now let's not forget our 1795C. Plus 600 is going to be less than or equal to 2,000. Now what's next? Subtraction. We're going to subtract 600 from both sides. All right. 2,000 minus 600 is going to be 1,400. 600 minus 600, that's going to reduce to 0. So that leaves just 1,795. C is less than or equal to $1,400. What's next? Division. We got to divide both sides. Now we're going to divide by 1,795 or by 1,400. No, we're not doing 1,400. Remember, we have to divide by the number that's attached to the variable. So we have to change the 1,795. We got to get that out. 1,795. 1,795. Now, 1,795 divided by 1,795 is 1. All right. I'm going to give y'all a couple seconds here. Let's see if you can come up with what 1,400 divided by 1,795 is going to be. Come on. I know one of y'all is going to end up doing it. I know one of y'all found a calculator. So one of y'all just sitting here waiting. 1,400 divided by 1,795 is going to be, C is going to be less than or equal to 77.994 campers. So technically, would I round up here? No. Normally I would round up, but the idea is I have to stay below 78 campers. I can't take 78. I'd go over budget. So the lowest number I can actually take is not going to be 78. It's actually going to be C is going to be less than or equal to 77 campers. All right, let's go to the next problem. Oh, that's right. That's right. Never mind. Let me give y'all a couple minutes here. Let me let y'all write it down. So again, did I come up with any extra information? Did I just create something out of the blue? No, I didn't. Everything came from the problems. Don't ever let your lack of understanding keep you from attempting. Okay? Every one of you is capable of doing these problems. Yes, that includes you, Coriana, Amaya, Tequila, Joshua, Shakaya, Takavion, Keneal. It does not matter. Each of you is capable of performing better than what you let yourself believe. All right, next problem. The carnival owner pays the owner of an exotic animal exhibit $650 for the entire time the exhibit is displayed. The owner of the exhibit has no other expenses except for a daily insurance cost. If the owner of the animal exhibit wants to make more than $500 in profits for the 5.5 days, what is the greatest daily insurance rate he can afford? Okay, so he wants to make $500 in profit. All right. Where would I start? What's the first thing I should do? Right, I need to circle all my numbers. So I got $650 for the entire time the exhibit is displayed. No other expenses but the daily insurance cost. The owner of the animal exhibit wants to make $500 in profits for the 5.5 days. Okay. So, what's next? Underline the question. What's the greatest daily insurance rate he can afford? The greatest daily insurance rate he can afford. All right, so let's box some keywords. All right, entire time the exhibit is displayed. So he gets paid $650 for the 5.5 days. Okay. He wants to make more than $500 in profits. What's the greatest daily insurance rate he can afford? Okay. So we can't go over the $500 in profits we want to see. All right, so that's a dead given. We cannot go over that. So where should I start? Now, I'll be honest, this is definitely a fun question. I'm going to give y'all a couple minutes. I want to see where you come up with. I want to know where you would start. Where would you begin? What is it you should start with? Okay, first off, we need to know what our inequality symbol is. Okay, that's a good point. What is our inequality symbol? All right, so we want to make sure that we all right, so this is what we got to deal with, this $650. We know that if he is working 5.5 days, and then he's got the daily insurance cost, plus his $500 in profits, that should be less than or equal to the $650 he makes every day, or for the entire time he's in the exhibit. This is the best setup, okay? Now, let's find out what his daily insurance is going to be. Start off by subtracting 500 from both sides. All right, 500 minus 500 is going to be 0, so that gives me 5.5 times D is less than or equal to 150. What's next? Right, division. So we're going to divide both sides by 5.5. 150 divided by 5.5 and 5.5 divided by 5.5. That's just going to leave me D. So what is D going to equal? So we're looking at 150 divided by 5.5. All right, D can be less than or equal to 27.27. D can be less than or equal to $27.27 a day. If he buys insurance that is more expensive than $27.27, he will not make his profit of $500. And he wants his profit of $500. I mean, he's brought these exotic animals. He's brought the snakes. He's brought the lizards. He's brought the birds. He's brought the monkey, the dancing monkey that's going, gee, 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 gee. Yeah, we do now. He wants $500 for all this. This is the best way he's going to get it. All right? If you need to, pause the video to keep up with everything. If you don't need it, pause. We're moving on. All right, several vendors at the carnival sell products and advertise their businesses. Shane works for a recreational company that sells ATVs, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, and motorcycles. His boss paid him $500 for working all of the days at the carnival, plus 5% commission on all of the sales made at the carnival. What was the minimum amount of sales Shane needed to make if he earned more than $1,500? Okay? So let's go through this. Let's circle our numbers. All right, paid him $500 plus a 5% commission, and $1,500 is what he ended up making. He needs to make more than that, more than $1,500. All right, let's see, underline the question. What was the minimum amount of sales Shane needed to make if he earned more than $1,500? Next one is B, box the key words. All right, his boss paid him for working all of the days, so that's a one-time fee, plus a 5% commission on all of the sales. So that means every sale he made 5% of commission on it, and the minimum amount. Oh, and last but not least, more than. These are all key words. Now it's time for us to evaluate and solve. So we've got more than. There's your key. More than. All right. Let's go ahead and get ourselves a nice setup here. Let's go ahead and start. More than. He wants to make more than $1,500. All right, and we're back. Let's get ourselves back to where we were at so we can get ourselves finished up here. All right, so where did we leave off at? Oh, that's right. We're making our inequality symbols. All right, so we got the word more than. More than. We have to make more than $1,500. So that's pretty self-explanatory. More than $1,500. Okay. Now, how much did he get paid for working all the days? $500. And he gets a commission on a certain number of sales, right? All right, so what's the commission? 5%. Now, can I write 5% in inequality? No. I need to rewrite 5% as either a fraction or a decimal. I need to do that. So 5%. 5% is the same as saying 5 out of 100. Remember, 5%. We talked about this in 6th grade. I know my kids did because we were in science class. 5%. 5 per, and there is 100 years in a century. There are 100 cents in a dollar. Cent means 100. So 5% is the same as 5 out of 100. So we had 5 out of 100 times the commission plus the $500. It's got to be greater than $1,500. So let's start solving. Subtract 500 from both sides. All right. We're still left with 5 out of 100C. 500 minus 500 is 0. 1,500 minus 500 is 1,000. So this has got to be greater than 1,000. Now I'm multiplying by a fraction. How do I get rid of a fraction when I'm doing multiplication? How am I going to get rid of that? Okay, you're right. I could divide. Since it is multiplying, I could divide. 5 100ths divided by 5 100ths. But if you remember, we talked about this. All right. If we're doing 5 100ths divided by 5 100ths, the next step is 5 100ths times 100 over 5, the reciprocal of 5 100ths, or better known as the multiplicative inverse. So we multiply both sides by the multiplicative inverse. 100 divided by 5. 100 divided by 5. See, 100 and 100 reduce out. 5 and 5 reduce out, giving me C. All right. Now, 5 can go into 1,000 200 times. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 1,000 divided by 5 is going to be 200. So now I've got C is going to be greater than 200 times 100. So what is C going to equal? C is going to equal, all right, C's got to be greater than, so we got 200 and then tack on 2 additional zeros. So C's got to be greater than $20,000 in sales. In order for him to make $1,500 in profit, he's got to sell $20,000 worth of ATVs, dirt bikes, snowmobiles, and motorcycles. Now, I tell you, that's not very hard, because some motorcycles, depending on whether or not he's a Harley-Davidson owner, Harleys go for anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 a pop. So, sells one motorcycle. He's got his $20,000 in sales. So, it can be done. Don't ever let anybody say it can't be. All right, that is your last problem. Like I said, if you need to pause the video, pause the video. What about homework and classwork? If you've got done with this video without any pausing, as you can see in the timer at the bottom, we are only 25 minutes into this. That's 25 minutes out of a 55-minute class. What do you think I'm going to expect of you? That's right. I'm going to expect for this to be done. I'm going to expect for this to be done in class. I'm going to expect for the substitute to have it in her hands before you walk out the door. That's my expectation. I want all these problems done on S95. You have this video that you can refer back to tonight if you manage not to get done. But I promise you, the substitute already has this sheet of paper. She already knows this. If you've given her any problems, or him, not making any pre-decisions here, if you've given him or her any problems, they have the number to Mr. Hardaway. They have the number to Miss Guyton. You can be escorted out of the building for the week. You don't have to be here. All your work is going to be on the computer. You do not have to be in my math class to do the work. Disrespect is not going to be acceptable in this classroom this week. I'm expecting more out of you. I'm expecting a lot more out of you. And I'm sure somebody in this classroom has already started taking those names down for me. I know somebody's already prepared and ready to go to let me know which students were acting out. Now, I'm not talking about talking. I have no problems with you talking within your groups to get your work done. I'm talking about foolishness. Getting out of your seats without permission. Sharpening your pencils during my videos when you know what the rules are. You know what my expectations are. The I wills of my classroom. You've already seen what I'm capable of the first semester of school. Don't let me have to repeat the second semester the same way. Get this work done this week. Get these grades in the grade book. Give yourself a chance. Be ready for tomorrow. We're going to be continuing on